Good morning, and a bit of a panic this morning. Um, we tried to cram in so much. Richard Barton has been in doing his crime spot before dashing off to Guildford, where he's got to appear before a jury, and all sorts of things that are happening in terms of the king and his security. Trying to get all the bits and pieces, and as usual, minor technical problems. So, yes, we're a little bit on late starting, and we're all discombobulated, but we're here as usual. I'm Keith Hayes. This is Mirador Television, broadcasting from the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, in East Sussex. And we have our usual review of the headlines this morning. Although you know what the review of the headline is because they're all very much the same. And I hope that ultimately we will discover is just what the truth of the matter is, with a gunman at the gates of hell. No, not really. Not the gates of hell at all. The gates of the palace. And I just very, very difficult because the photographs of gunmen are very evocative, and I'm not sure that I want to increase the importance, severity, the depth of what happened this morning at the palace. I'll be very careful because pictures can be very emotive indeed. But I don't know whether I can really whether we can actually find anything better than some of the emotive and expressive stuff that is available to us. Difficult to say. It is difficult to say. But we will motor on and hope that we get something right. And I'm busy trying hard to see if we can get any half decent pictures. Let's see, save images, and I don't know that it is saving images. Let's try it again. No, we're not having much luck, so we'll have to put up with my description this morning of what on earth is going on. And I think what we do is we start off with the top paper as seen by the internet, and it's the Sun of all papers to lead the pack, and the headline there is: "A palace shotgun terror, cops swoop on a man with ammo at gates." Reading what's been reported so far, doing want to say whether it's a man with a bunch of cartridges in his hand, or whether he got a serious gun and looked as if he could be a serious threat to King Charles. This says a number of papers lead with the arrest of a man after suspected shotgun cartridges were thrown into the grounds of Buckingham Palace. Now, the Sun says police carried out a controlled explosion at the scene, and that it is not thought the King and Queen Consort were at the palace at the time. So the timing of this so-called attacker, but it is making the headlines simply because this is Coronation Week, and the fact that somebody would even though I really don't think, I think that it's been built up into headline material, which it's not. It's a man with a bunch of cartridges who tossed them over the fence, over the railings. Anyone who's been to Buckingham Palace or even just been outside will know what we're talking about. So that is the headline in the Mirror, the Sun. Sorry, the Sun. The Daily Mail. Man held in shotgun cartridge drama at the palace. Whey! The Daily Mail says the man was tackled by armed royal protection officers and that officials were treating the incident as a mental health episode, not an attempted terrorist attack. It sounds to me as if that's about right. If it is terrorist attack, we would have known it. A single man throwing bullets or shotgun shells or whatever over the fence at the palace, because first of all, the fence is quite away from the building itself. If he threw it over the fence, it means that he was nowhere near the palace. And anyway, according to the Sun, the Queen and King weren't there anyway. So makes a jolly good story, but no more than that. And I think that it is no more than that. What's the Mirror's take on it? Palace in lockdown after, quote, attack. Whoa! The area around the Queen Victoria Monument had to be evacuated so police could carry out the controlled explosion, according to the Daily Mirror. The paper adds that the incident comes as security services prepare to oversee their biggest operations in 70 years at the King's coronation on Saturday. Oh, well, the Mirror probably got it right. One thing that the world cannot tolerate is attacks on its leaders, whether you approve of them, don't approve of them, like them, don't like them, support them, don't support them, whatever. Terrorist attacks are to be contained, stopped, the book thrown at them, and everything else thrown at them to prevent such things. They are a threat to global security if anybody actually gets through and should actually perpetrate something similar to this. So the Daily Express, lockdown at the palace after the man is arrested. The Express carries a picture of the aftermath of the incident on its front page. And multiple police vehicles and personnel can be seen near a line of cones, apparently marking a police cordon. Well, let's see if I can see that. It's nothing photograph. Everybody's getting excited. This is man's heaven to Fleet Street. Everybody in a real city. I can imagine what the newsrooms were like. And here I was sleeping until 5 o'clock. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I wonder what you were doing. Well, you could have been doing anything, couldn't you? The Guardian. Now, the Guardian takes a slightly different tack. Its headline is a new anti-protest powers are rushed into law in time for the coronation. What does the Guardian say? New anti-protest laws have been rushed in ahead of the coronation. The paper says that from Tuesday, protesters who block roads, airports, or railways could be imprisoned for 12 months, while anyone locking themselves to objects or buildings face 6 months and an unlimited fine. It adds that the Home Office's police powers unit has written to anti-monarchy campaign groups, particularly the one called Republic, to advise it of the changes. Hey, chaps, we know we've been tolerant of what you've been doing so far, but that's ended. You lock yourself if you use your chewing gum or your fast sealing glue and stick yourself to something, it may be that you'll be stuck to it for 6 months or more. So be careful. It's very considerate of them to write to the anti-monarchy groups, which indicates that they think that they've been responsible for a few naughties so far. Right now, there is a bit of difference in the headline of the Eye. It let's see. A bit of a flummox this morning. You just have to forgive us. Yes. Is the Eye says that former civil servant Sue Gray is refusing to help an inquiry into whether she breached rules by talking to Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer about becoming his chief of staff while still working at the Cabinet Office. Miss Gray headed a report into the Partygate scandal, dear old Boris's iced cake and half bottle of champagne. And later she worked on a team that advised a Commons investigation into the issue. But allies tell the paper she never advised the investigation herself. Why on earth one little iced cake has created so much havoc and spent so much of our hard-earned tax dollars, pounds, pence? I have no idea whatsoever. It just escalated beyond, and this is all because it's to do with the leadership. They don't really give a fig what we think on the ground. We've got to do things properly. They said, well, they're all stuffing their pockets left, right, and bloody centre. Right, the Times is a cold calling ban to fight financial fraudsters. Okay, it's gone away from the drama down at the palace, and it says the government plans to introduce a ban on unsolicited calls for all financial products, and says the measure is intended to protect older people in particular from the most common scams. It adds that a new national fraud squad made up of 500 specialist investigators will be set up to help tackle low prosecution rates. Well, I have a few thoughts about this. There are some companies, such as American Express, who use American tactics. American Express will call on public holidays. They'll call on a Sunday. In fact, I got a call from American Express right in the middle of a service. I was very tempted to actually sort of say to the priest, can we just pause for 5 minutes and let the congregation hear what this awful, awful company has to say? It uses bullying American tactics. And whether in fact this legislation will help reduce its attack, particularly on the elderly and the vulnerable, is yet to be seen. But if it is, then this legislation will have achieved some use. But I also do understand, because it's so easy to fall for these scams, and particularly if you're elderly and not quite as bright as one or two others who still got their marbles, it is very easy to scam people out of their money, particularly the elderly, and they need to have help in preventing it. So this legislation, to me, sounds on the surface a good thing. Don't you think? All right. The Financial Times A1 claims the first scalp as shares in education sector tumble. Basically, what it's saying is that artificial intelligence shares in the education sector fall and shares after a US company, Chegg, which provides online study guides, said that a significant spike in student interest in A1 tool Chat GPT was harming its customer growth. The FT says it marks one of the first instances of a company acknowledging a hit to its finances as a direct result of advances in technology. Well, I think we're going to see much more of that. And I think that a whole new look has got to be taken at how computers and AI and so on is used. Because part of the problem that we have in society at the moment is our leaders allow computers to do the work for them. And computers are not set up or to be utilized that way. And I think that's the danger begins to seep into the thick brains of some of the people who are in charge of our welfare and our life and our economy and so on and so forth. I think that as it seeps in what it's all about, then calls for legislation to protect certain parts of our society from artificial intelligence, from the overuse and over-reliance on computers will start to find its way into the legislative books. The fact of the matter is, we've been calling for this for about 2 years, and nobody has paid a blind bit of attention. Now, at least it looks as if the FT are highlighting what can happen, or what is going to happen. Pay attention. Pay attention, please. The Metro. Okay. It also goes a different route. It has the killer nurse weeps in court. The Metro leads with the trial of Lucy Letby, who stands accused of murdering 7 babies and attempting to kill 10 others while working as a nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital. The paper says Ms. Letby, who denies all 22 charges against her, told the court she was sickened by the allegations and that she had written, "I killed them on purpose because I'm not good enough," on a post-it note because she had felt her mistakes had contributed to the baby's deaths. Wow, well, that's stretching it a bit, but who knows? We do seem to have a stranger than fiction nowadays. So perhaps she's got some room for a defense of that sort. The Daily Star says the king has been accused of hiding his sausage fingers in official portraits. And the page features a picture of the king and queen in which the king can be seen with his fingers resting inside the pockets of his suit jacket. It's like this. Because he's got pudgy fingers. Don't know why it should bother him. I've got pudgy fingers. The only thing I would say is pudgy fingers do make it difficult with a keyboard sometimes. I quite often hit the wrong, particularly the smaller the keyboard, I hit the wrong letters and make gobbledygook and then have to go back with the little red lines through it to make sure that I've got things right. But the king apparently is a little worried about his pudgy fingers. Dear. It's all right, Charles. We share things in common. We've got our pudgy fingers to worry about. So that's broadly the front pages, but the most of them are about this so-called attack on the palace, which I don't actually totally go along with. Now, let's just get some of this stuff over with, because I have not had time to put together our little video for the weather, so I'm going to have to talk to you about it. And everything is taking its time this morning. Would you believe? Okay. Lewis, BBC weather. Doesn't want to kick in. Does not want to kick in. All of what I can tell you is that at the moment the temperature is 9 degrees and it is sunny, and that it's going to take a little while for us to get a full forecast. It's funny how days seem to come. One day you have trouble free, the next you have a whole pack of trouble. And here we are this morning. Nobody wants to give us the weather. It's a national bloody secret. It's quite incredible. But if we're not going to get it, we're not going to get it. And we might as well just forget it for the moment. Incidentally, the date, for those of you who don't know, is it's the 3rd day of May 2023. And the time right now is 8:54. So hang on. We perhaps got the weather here, have we? No, the BBC doesn't want to kick in for some reason. Never mind. It's the technology, you see. This is the stuff that is actually worrying the hell out of us, because suddenly it is causing dips in the stock market and lots of other things. So that's the way it looks up until the 5 minutes to 9. All over the place, we are. All over the place, society is. Just quite remarkable. Quite remarkable. I don't know whether we have time to look at something of interest. I think probably not, because we're certainly coming to the end of our early morning run. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's play early. What is I believe is terribly important. Let's here we go. Parkinson's disease. Not totally understood, not totally appreciated by the general public. There are so many other things, particularly cancer-related diseases, that top the headlines, that get the attention. But Parkinson's can be devastating. It affects the brain, you see. It eats away at that little bit which controls movement. It shows those bits and pieces that are not obvious most of the time, but when they're in the spotlight, they are. I've got Parkinson's, and as my consultant says, sometimes I wouldn't know it, Keith. You walk in here with a bounce. Well, I used to, and I can't bounce anymore. Over a 10-year period, I've deteriorated. And over the last 12 months, I've deteriorated faster than I did in the first 9. But I don't want this disease to win. And I am, along with a lot of other people, determined that it won't win. Muhammad Ali, Michael J. Fox, Billy Graham, Neil Diamond, a whole host of other people, well known and famous. And to do something to beat it. I haven't been it yet. It's not for the want of trying. Now, what's Parkinson's, you may say? You've seen people who involuntarily shake like this. You can't see me. You can't see me walking at the moment, but I shuffle. As I said, the thing that really upsets me is I'm shuffling like an old man. And one good friend and kindly looked me in the eye and said, "You are an old man." And so I manifest both being old, but also it is showing that Parkinson's is slowly getting the better of me. But it's not really getting the better of me. It's just that my body is degenerating. And by the time that I'm actually 120, I'll be gone. No, I jest. And I jest because the only thing that I can do is to jest. Is to make fun of this damn disease. So it doesn't get the better of me. To laugh at it. To say, go away. Get stuffed. Go and bother somebody else. Leave me alone. And it's that positive attitude that actually does help temper it, but it doesn't stop it. And there are researchers all over the globe trying hard to find some cure, some remedy to try and make this dreadful disease a little bit more palatable and eventually to go away. They haven't reached it yet. Now, I was watching a little commercial for Action Cancer, Research Action Cancer, I think it is, who are very prominent on the high street, on television, in the papers, and they make an appeal for cash. This isn't really an appeal for cash. I'm not going to ask you to give £3 for a puppy or £3 for a llama or £3 for some poor child in Africa with a disease that on the surface looks 10 times worse than Parkinson's. Not a bit of it. I just want to help other people like Jeremy Paxman, who's also a sufferer and has started a unique and interesting vlog or blog or whatever you call them to try and bring sufferers together. I simply just want to help make it evident that Parkinson's exists and needs fighting the same as anything else. If you feel like putting your hand in your pocket and sending a few bob to Parkinson's, I think it's called Parkinson's UK, please do so. But I'm not twisting your arm. I would just like you to be able to recognize when you see somebody like this, to say, Parkinson's. I remember now that deaf bugger Hayes was on about it. Because it's awareness that will help kill it, not the pennies that you either will or will not give out of your purse. It's an awareness. And to give those of us who suffer a bit of backup when we're trying to be as positive as we are. How we're trying to fight it in our own particular way. You know, it's people can be very unkind, you know. Another friend said, "Keith, I will not go to the pub with you." Well, the moment you get inside that pub, you start to stagger. And you haven't had a drink. He said, it's very embarrassing indeed. I suppose it is. But I pointed out to him and I said, look, here I am, just to help you, staggering around, pretending to be drunk. Well, there are a whole host of a group of people in here staggering because they are drunk and pretending not to be. Now, which do you want? Come on, put your hand in your pocket and buy that pint. Yeah, yes, it has its downside. It can embarrass people. Doesn't bother me. Any whoever suffers from any disease doesn't bother me. And to be quite honest with you, I'm very lucky because for most of my friends it doesn't really bother. They make light of it and they joke about it the way that I do, and I do joke about it. Get lost. Stop it. Stop bothering me. I'm a busy man. I'm a very important man. I'm a VIP. That's as daft as me having Parkinson's. But it is one of those things that really will benefit far more than sending cash, than an awareness. So when you're watching me, and they call me Mr. Keith, become aware of Parkinson's. Become aware of the devastation it can cause to many people who, when it hits them, are so upset and so worried by it, is they can't actually find the strength or the courage initially to tell it to bugger off. I told it that from the very start, and I'm glad I did. And yes, I've had my falling down periods. And there's nothing worse than falling down because you're suddenly out of control. You can't stop it. The only thing is that I have learned over the years how to fall without hurting myself, mostly anyway. You pick up little tips like that. I'm not going to keep you for much longer. This is to say, stand firm with us. Stand firm with those of us who have got Parkinson's, because it's the awareness. It's the fact that we can be tough enough to tell it to stop bothering us. And that's what will eventually find a cure. Yes, the pennies are important. If you have got a penny, turn it in. If you haven't, don't worry. Just get together with us and tell people, tell the disease, enough is enough. Go back to where you came from, and don't let things get on top of us. So that's my message for this week. Yes, it's a little message, isn't it? But there are tons and tons of people out there like me who got parkies. Some, it bothers beyond compare. Others, if it's going to get me, it's going to have to come and get me. I'm not walking into it. I'm not giving into it. And I'd ask you to support me in that way. Should I have another little burst on a Sunday? Last time it was at breakfast time. It's been a rotten day today outside. So it's late afternoon on a Sunday before I go. And I still get up at 5:30 tomorrow morning. I should be up and happen and back, making sure that this television station goes on air at approximately the right time. I say approximately because sometimes we're a couple of minutes late. That's dreadful in the television industry to do that. But that's my concession. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for giving me your support. And if you see me in the pub, just because I appear to be shaking, don't think that I won over the 8. I probably only had 1, so I got capacity for another 7. And it's your shout. Toodle, toodle, pip.